Imagine planning a cruise vacation for months, dreaming about wandering through the colorful row houses of a historic North American port city, only to watch that city disappear over the horizon because your captain decided the harbor simply wasn't safe to enter. That's exactly what happened this week off the coast of Newfoundland, and the story behind it is a fascinating mix of geography, weather science, and hard financial reality. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll understand why even the world's biggest, most technologically advanced cruise ships sometimes have no choice but to sail right past their destination. On Tuesday, July 14, 2026, officials in St. John's, Newfoundland's capital and the easternmost city in all of North America, confirmed something rather remarkable. Both cruise ships scheduled to call at the port that day canceled their visits at the last minute. What makes this genuinely dramatic isn't just that two ships turned away on the same day, it's that these were the only two cruise calls scheduled for the entire month of July. In one single afternoon, St. John's cruise tourism season for the month went from in progress to over. St. John's sits in one of the most weather-exposed corners of the continent, and this time, Mother Nature pulled no punches. Environment Canada had issued strong wind warnings for the area, with gusts reaching up to 55 kilometers per hour, paired with punishing swells of up to 2.7 meters. For a massive cruise ship, that combination is a serious problem. The tall, flat sides of the hull act like an enormous sail, catching every gust. Add to that the geography of St. John's Harbor itself. The entrance is famously narrow, nicknamed the Narrows, at only about 600 feet wide. Threading a ship the size of a small skyscraper through a gap that tight, in high winds and rough seas, is a maneuver no captain wants to attempt when the margin for error disappears. So both crews made the only responsible call: skip the port entirely and keep everyone safe. In the cruise industry, this kind of decision, frustrating as it is for passengers who book their trip specifically to see a certain destination, is treated as the obvious right choice whenever safety is in question. This wasn't just any pair of ships. These two vessels were in the middle of two wildly different, epic journeys, and their planned routes are worth picturing on a map for yourself. Oceania Vista was sailing a 14-day voyage from New York City to Reykjavik, Iceland. The ship departed from New York and made its way up the coast to Halifax, Nova Scotia, before continuing on to Sydney, also in Nova Scotia. From there, it was set to call at Saint-Pierre and Miquelon, the small French territory sitting just off the coast of Newfoundland, and then finally at St. John's itself, before beginning its transatlantic crossing toward its final destination of Reykjavik. With the Newfoundland stop scrapped, Oceania Vista simply turned northeast a day ahead of schedule and pointed itself straight toward Iceland. Crown Princess, sailing under Princess Cruises, is on an entirely different scale of adventure. A 115-day around-the-world voyage that began in New Zealand. After a long transit across multiple oceans and continents, the ship made its way to the Shetland Islands off Scotland, then on to Iceland, before its planned call at St. John's in Newfoundland. From there, it was scheduled to continue to Corner Brook, also in Newfoundland, and then press on toward the final legs of its circumnavigation before returning home to New Zealand, where the world cruise is set to wrap up on August 28, 2026. So while St. John's got skipped by both ships, Crown Princess's very next stop, Corner Brook, is still going ahead as planned, arriving July 16th. That's proof this was a hyper-local weather call, not a broader itinerary shakeup. Here's where the story shifts from a weather footnote to a genuine local economic story. St. John's is home to roughly 132,166 residents, according to the latest 2026 census. Oceania Vista carries up to 1,321 passengers, while Crown Princess holds around 3,592. Combined with their crews, that's close to 4,900 potential visitors who simply never set foot in the city. No shopping downtown, no walking tours, no restaurant reservations, no souvenir purchases. And because these were the only two cruise calls scheduled for all of July, this wasn't a dent in the month's cruise tourism. It was the entire month's cruise tourism, gone in a single day. For the shops, tour operators, and restaurants that plan their summer around these arrivals, that's a very real loss with no do-over coming this month. The good news for St. John's is that the calendar gets dramatically busier from here. August has 5 scheduled cruise calls, September jumps to 12, and October brings 7 more, making late summer and early autumn the port's true high season, timed perfectly with the spectacular fall foliage that draws cruise lines to the Northeast in the first place. As for the roughly 4,900 travelers who unexpectedly found themselves with a surprise sea day instead of a Newfoundland excursion, the cruise lines are handling it the way they always do. Onboard staff and cruise apps are managing itinerary notices, port fee refunds, and schedule adjustments directly with passengers. It's a reminder that even in an era of satellite forecasting and state-of-the-art navigation, the ocean still gets the final vote, and sometimes an entire month of tourism can hinge on a single afternoon's wind speed.